part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
We're back, Season 2, Episode 7 of the Ball Card Show, the sports podcast.
For the Sports Collector.
What's your name, bro?
I'm Gary.
I'm Jason.
And I'm not sure this is Episode 7.
I'm pretty sure it is.
Are you?
I don't know. Anyway, we're glad that you are joining us. Your ears are tuned in, and we've got another episode for you. All kinds of excitement right around the corner.
Is it really right around the corner?
Yeah.
I know opening day is today, so I was pretty excited about that.
Yes. That is exciting, Gary.
It is exciting. I mean, it's 162 games of disappointment in the Reds, so I'm ready for that.
It's going to be really bad.
Oh, it's going to be – it might be an 85 or 90 loss season, maybe more. Like, we might not even be close to 500. It's going to be really bad.
Yeah, it's going to be really painful to watch, but there's a lot of baseball outside of Cincinnati.
There is, but you know how it is. When you're a fan of a team, you want your team to be competitive.
You want them to care.
And they're not. Well, I think the players care, but the owner's just trash.
Oh.
Sell the team, Bob. Your fans don't want you to own the team anymore.
He likes money, though.
Sell the team, Bob.
Well, let's talk about a few pickups this week. Let's jump right into it.
Yeah, what'd you find this week?
I was so excited. I did some trading.
Okay.
At a LCS, which usually doesn't go well for you.
Right.
Because they want to make money. They're not in it to collect. So
right.
That's a friendly reminder to anybody newer to the hobby. The LCS is there to make money.
Right. If you go in there thinking you're going to get what you could sell it for on eBay, you're doing it wrong.
Speaking of that, it was really funny. I went over to LCS close to here, Triple Play in Westerville.
Shout out. And just watching the staff. So they've expanded their space quite a bit. But just watching their staff, when somebody comes walking in with a rubber tote of cards, they just roll
they
their
can
eyes.
They can tell. They could tell immediately. Like I was trying to work out a deal on something, and this guy comes walking in with a tote. This guy's like, I got tons of cards in here.
Yeah, you do. They're worth about
as
a
soon
half
as
a
he
penny
said
each.
tons of cards, I was like, oh, this is bad. So anyway, junk wax era. But I picked up a Marino PSA 8 rookie, which I was very excited to add. I took in a Trevor Lawrence, was it Flawless?
Was it flawless or immaculate?
Immaculate.
Yeah, it's immaculate collegiate, right?
Yeah, collegiate to 99 rookie auto. At first they're like, nah, bro. I don't want a college uni of T-Law. And I was like, come on, guys. We're good friends. Spend money here. And we worked out a trade for the Marino rookie, which they can have a little equity, but it's not an easy card to sell. I've actually been trying to sell that T-Law for a few months, trying to trade it.
When was the last time you spent money there?
Year. He remembered, though.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of money there, if we're going to be honest. But he was like, no, I worked with you. So they worked out a deal with me on that. And then I picked up a Rodman Pro Set Auto, which you saw. It's a pretty sweet card. But it's encased, so.
You got a thing for encased cards.
I just like the sticker, the thick one touch. I really shouldn't be as excited about it as I am, but.
You are, though.
It's SP, baby. It's been redeemed.
Okay.
There's still unclaimed redemptions out there. So as far as I'm concerned, it's real
numbered?
special. And no, but it's a color variation. So there's a few different ones from that.
Oh, okay.
So that's the red. But
Gotcha.
anyway, and then I picked up a bunch of raw stuff on Facebook sales. So Burrow I got on the cheap. Jonathan Taylor I'm still buying. A bunch of NFL stuff. Khalil Mack rookie.
Yeah, I've got some of that stuff. You know me. I think that the hobby is going to start embracing all-timer defensive players, so I've been kind of stacking for a minute.
So that's what I picked up. What about you? I know there's one that you're particularly excited about that you can't believe you got the price you did on. So
so I actually picked up so Topps did a series last year called Project 70, and early on Project 70 there was a lot of hype around it. Then it kind of died down. There were artist, renditions of famous Topps cards, and I picked up a Derek Jeter from Project 70, but it's the one of one from that artist release. So I was super excited about that, and I got it for a price that I still don't think is real. We'll see if when it gets here in the mail, if it actually comes. I think it probably will. The dude seems legit, but if it doesn't, that's why you pay PayPal Goods and Services.
Yeah, Jeter 101 is always a good thing to pick up when you find a good price.
Yeah, even if it's not worth more than what I paid for it, which I think it's probably worth 6 to 8 times what I paid for it, to be frank with you, I will still keep it. It'll be in my collection. It's just a really cool thing to have. It's not autographed or anything. It's just a one-of-one Jeter. Picked up a couple of Riley Green Bowman First Chrome PSA 9s and a 2021 Bowman Riley Green yellow of 75 Bowman Chrome. See what else. I picked up another Cade Cavalli, a CSG 9 speckle refractor for a really good price. I think I paid $20 or $25 for it, which I thought was a steal. If any of you guys out there that are listeners that are not Cade Cavalli believers and you got any short print Bowman First Cade Cavallis or autos, feel free to hit me up on Facebook. Go through the group. I'm probably a buyer.
He's at 60 to 80% on comps all day.
Depending on what it is. If
60
it's
to 65.
nice, I might get a little
60
heavy.
to 65.
I almost paid full boat for a Bowman First Sapphire.
I don't believe you.
I almost did. I didn't, but I almost did. I really thought about it for a minute.
One thing you'll notice as we're talking about what we've picked up is we're not talking a whole lot about sealed product. A lot less than we did last season, for sure.
Yeah.
I think there's good reason for it.
Well, it's reaching the point between, and even Topps, we were talking about Topps Inception. So you guys remember we had Vic on a few episodes ago, our buddy Vic Nava. And I felt bad. If you're listening to this, Vic, I felt bad. I had no idea. And I guess hosting a podcast and being as in-depth in this hobby as I am, and I should have known this, Topps Inception's always been anywhere from, depending on the year, a $90 to $120 box. It's 5 cards. And it has a very niche market. The cards don't tend to hold great value compared to a lot of other Topps products. But they're kind of cool looking cards. And case breaks, last year I was getting into case breaks of the stuff in random spots for $50 to $60 a spot. That stuff's running almost $200 a box this year, and case breaks are $120, $125 a spot. And Vic ran a case break, and I was all excited. I even asked him to make sure it was randoms because I was going to jump in, and then it was $120 a spot, and I was like, hard pass.
Yeah, it's
sorry, Vic.
A real possibility of a skunk at that point.
Yeah, I mean, it's a 16-box case, so you're getting, 80 cards? There's going to be teams that skunk, and I don't care to skunk for $50, but let's be honest, unless you hit a Wander Franco or a super short print like Brandon Marsh or
you're going to need you need a couple hits.
Yeah, just to break even.
Yeah.
Let alone make a profit on it. And you're running into that with product in general. Retail product, the stores, Target hasn't, but everybody else has raised their prices 50 to 100%. And I was telling Jason, I was out east from where we live on a job today. And
Thank you for giving us directions.
Yeah, it was about an hour away. There's a Walmart, and I was dead, so I stopped, and I went into Walmart, and they were loaded. There were probably 15 blasters of Mosaic. There were Mosaic football. There were mega boxes of Mosaic basketball and Donruss and
2 years
hangers.
ago, you're clearing the shelves.
Yeah, but I'm not clearing the shelves at $37 a blaster. Not when I've seen this stuff get ripped, and there's nothing in it.
I'm sound like the retail Mosaic stuff I've seen, which has been several.
It's been brutal.
And I've been in some breaks for it. I've probably seen 20 blasters, 10 to 15 hangers. I've watched several breaks too, but all the quarterbacks are SP. I'm telling you, it's a tough product. The funny thing is, 2 years ago, if you would have said, "Hey, in the middle of all this craziness, the highest value for your retail purchase is going to be paper Topps Series 1," I'd have told you were out of your mind.
Yeah, but it is.
That's the best value right now. And there's the Wander factor. I don't think his cards stay there, but the SPs and parallels are pretty hot right now. They're actually selling for the money that they say. But, some of these other products that get in these, like Donruss basketball.
$65 a mega. Are you on crack?
Okay, so there's a part of this that you and I need to acknowledge. is that you and I are always going to bend a little bit towards the investment and flipping side of that forever. So
Sure.
for the purist collector, they're just saying, I don't give a crap if it's $10 more a box. I want to be able to get stuff on the shelf, open packs, and keep my stuff. If you're in that boat, hey, great news.
That's
Cards
cool.
are back.
But here's what I will tell you: if you're in that boat, one of the flaws in that philosophy, and it's one of the things, because here's what I've come to see, and maybe you'll disagree with me, but I don't know a single human being. Maybe the exception is your dad, but even he, I think, cares what his cards are worth. I don't know a single person who just quote unquote collects. We all collect this stuff with the hope that it has some value, right? So if you're looking at things like you just said, oh, it's $10 more a box. The $10 isn't the issue. It's 70%. That's the issue. And if you only look at it as it's $10 a box, that's cool, that's fine. But over time, that $10 a box adds up drastically. And the ability to even break even, we were talking about this before we started recording tonight. 2.5, 3 years ago, I buy a hobby box of Prism for $200, $220.
Hold on. Say that sentence again.
2.5 years ago, I'll buy a hobby box of Prism for $200, $220.
I wish I could play like Barry White in the background. Like,
Yeah.
ooh,
Yeah. And if I only got $60 or $70 worth of cards out of it, I didn't feel great about it, but it didn't feel like somebody punched me in the jejunum.
All you
Right? But now,
hold on, time out.
What?
It didn't feel like what?
Somebody punched me in the jejunum. That's the auto puke punch. You've never heard of that? There's a spot you can punch somebody in their stomach and they will automatically puke. It's called the jejunum.
You said the magic word.
So, but
I was trying to be Pee Wee Herman there.
it didn't work. So I didn't care to lose $120, but at $1,200 a box, and I get $60 or $70 worth of cards out of it.
Yeah.
That's just not feasible.
Mm-hmm.
You know, $35 if you're buying a blaster. If you're just buying one blaster just to have something to rip, okay, whatever. But for most of us, if I'm buying blasters, I want 5 or 6 of them. Spread my risk across a little bit and hopefully hit something. If I spend 6 blasters, it's almost $200 now after tax.
Here's what's happening.
And I'm going to get $10 out of it.
If let's say you're a poker player and you've been playing this table with buddies, we have an ongoing poker thing that, everybody can buy in for $20 Monopoly dollars and then rebuy in as many times as they would like with $20.
And by Monopoly dollars, we mean real dollars that end up in my pocket.
We would
most
never
of the time.
encourage actual gambling. But now you're sitting down at the table. You've been playing for years. You love poker. And it's a lot of people. And it's $150 to sit down. And a lot of people are going to get priced out of what they love to do. And that's what's happening.
Yeah, but so you're noticing that people are starting to, and I know I have more and more, like I like to rip as much as the next guy, but I'm not ripping stuff at the prices things are at now. So I'm buying singles. I'm buying the guys I want to invest in and that I want to collect. And I think a lot of people are starting to do that. Now, here's the problem. As more and more people do that, the supply of singles is going to start to dry up because we count on the guys who rip to provide the market with singles. Panini, Topps, if you're listening, cut this shit out. Give us something reasonable. I'm not saying you guys can't capitalize on the boom in the hobby. That's fine. But you're going to choke the hobby is what you're going to do.
Well, if only they had some investment dollars coming in.
Yeah, well.
Which is a great segue here
Yeah.
to some hobby news. So NFL makes an investment of $320 million into Fanatics.
Yes, and a lot of people thought that was like part of their partnership and said, no. That was already signed. This is the NFL buying shares of Fanatics. That's huge. And everybody that thinks that the hobby is crashing and burning and there's going to be this huge fallout and we're in a junk wax era again, listen.
Guess who's not dropping $320 million if that's the case?
Exactly. The NFL.
Good guess. You guessed it.
I did guess
How
it.
did you get that?
I'm a genius.
How could you tell?
It was in the article.
Man, your jejunum is just
So if I liken it to the crypto market. So about 3.5 years ago, 4 years ago almost, Bitcoin went from $1,800 in January, February of one year to $20,000 by December of the same year.
which was just about the time I invested.
Yeah, kind of like the sports card hobby went from, where it was to the middle of the pandemic and at the beginning of 2021, just through the roof. Very similar parallels. And then what happened? Everything dropped. It didn't drop below where it was before it ramped up. As a matter of fact, it dropped to almost double where it was before it ramped up. Now, if you did what Jason was talking about, if you bought at the top, you took it in the teeth. But here's the good news. Don't panic sell your stuff, because Bitcoin's now at about $70,000. I think that we're going to ride these waves in the hobby for a while, but it's not going anywhere. And I really believe that Fanatics has a plan to expand the hobby to the average sports collector, the average sports fan.
Yeah, you talk about the market cap.
We're at the beginning.
Absurd.
We're at the beginning.
We're just one dimension of that. We're a big part of it with the cards, but this is just a piece of the collector space.
Yeah.
And they really want to evangelize sports collecting. And like that's in their DNA. It's not enough to just have the best and people know where to find the best. Fanatics wants to make everyone a fanatic. So
yeah,
that's encouraging to me. It's been a really interesting. If you're somebody that has done breaks, sealed, and single purchases online, maybe on Facebook groups or whatever, this really weird stuff happened for a couple months. All this retail stuff hit. Everybody's trying to sell stuff, and all people are getting is laugh emojis for marked up Mosaic product, which a year ago people were fighting over.
Yeah.
And then you hop on and you list your single stuff because nobody's buying that. And it was almost like there was a pause of everybody looking around like, what's going on for the last couple months. And you and I both have noticed that single sales have started to pick back up again.
Oh, I've sold a ton in the last week.
But a month ago, it was a lot more dead.
What's going on? Part of that, I think people are starting to get some tax money back. Spring always kind of picks things up a little bit.
The start of a season.
Yeah. Baseball season always kicks things off a little bit. I was getting ready to say something related to what you just said, and then I completely blanked on it because I'm old.
And your juniper's acting up again.
My juniper?
Yeah.
What's a juniper?
If you punch somebody,
the
they
jejunum?
immediately that's the jejunum. The juniper. If you punch somebody in the juniper, they immediately poop.
Making stuff up. It's like the violent magnesium citrate.
Do you want to tell people what you do on purpose?
Yeah, like once a month, you got to clear the pipes.
Okay, so if you're like Activia or some probiotic company, we would love to talk with you because both Gary and I would benefit from your services. However, Gary is very committed to not ever living backed up.
Well, correct.
And so much so that once a month?
Yeah, about once every month, every 6 weeks.
He
like
clears his schedule.
On a Sunday. Yep.
This is the best part of the story. He plans and he clears his schedule. Hey, man, you want to go play golf? I can't.
It's magnesium citrate
It's magnesium citrate day. How many bottles do you drink?
2.
Full bottles.
Yep. About 8 in the morning. By about 10, things are starting to happen. And by 11, I shouldn't be more than about 10 feet away from a toilet for the next 12 hours.
The best is we get text updates as if he hasn't already done this every month for the last 12 years. Guys, ... Guys. Oh, guys.
Yeah, it'll change your life. I'm telling you right now, it will change your life.
How did we get to the juniper?
Yeah, you made up a word.
I'll just punch in the juniper next time.
Does it last for 12 to 13 hours and really like...
No, it empties all of your bowels immediately.
At once? Just like you're getting squeezed like a tube of toothpaste?
Or like you just died.
Yeah. Oh.
That was dark.
Yeah, it was.
Okay. Let's move on. Speaking of death, Star Stock.
Oh, man. Guys.
Give people the 101 if they don't know real quick and then just jump right in.
Yeah, so Star Stock launched 18 months ago, maybe 2 years, but I think about 18 months. And they were aiming to take the idea that ComC has been running with forever. If you're not familiar with ComC, it's check out my cards. They are a consignment company that you can ship all your bulk stuff to. They will add it to their system, set the prices. They'll list it on eBay for you. They take a percentage of all the sales. Problem with ComC is they're massive. They take forever to ship. If you buy something from ComC on eBay, you might see it in 6 months. Mm-hmm. Like, that's just how it is. So StarTalk was trying to take that idea and modernize it and kind of combine that with the idea of StockX, which was to have a active buy-sell marketplace that acted like a stock market where you could put call orders and sell orders, and if it matched up, automatic transaction occurred. They would only ship what you purchased to you if you asked them to, and you had to pay for the shipping. The idea was it stayed in their vault, but ownership transferred digitally, and then it showed, the index, the market index for different sports and different players and different cards. Really cool idea. There was a lot of hype around them, and they got a lot of buzz early, and they were doing some good things. And then everything started to slow down, and they were run by some young kids. And I don't say that to sound like the old man in the room, but when you give 22 and 23-year-olds a bunch of money and the money just keeps pouring in, it can get a little insane. And that's, I think, kind of what happened here. And now StarStock is dying.
It went straight to their Yeezys.
Yeah. It's dying. They made an announcement about 8 weeks ago, that they were pivoting to focus more on NFTs than physical cards. That was the first sign.
There's a problem with that because how many physical cards are sitting at their warehouse?
Millions.
Right now? Mm-hmm.
Millions.
Mm-hmm. That people paid money to have.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so people have been requesting their stuff be sent back to them, and there's no responses happening. It's taking 2 weeks if you ask for your money that's sitting in the system to come back out. They've laid off 95% of their staff. It's bad. If you have stuff sitting there, you need to get on it right now and get it out of there.
Yeah,
you can. You may never see it.
There was one customer that asked for their Trout rookie. It was a PSA 10 back. And rumor has it that Lloyd Christmas showed up with a briefcase full of IOUs.
Right? Yeah, it's not a good situation. And listen, here's the reality. In any market where there's a giant boom, it turns a little bit wild, wild west.
Yeah, we're seeing a pattern here.
Yeah, and it gets a little gold rushy, and there's a lot of companies that are going to come along and try to take advantage of what's going on. A lot like the internet boom, the .com boom in the early 2000s. The NFT world is the same thing right now. The projects that survive this are going to be the Amazons and the Teslas and the PayPals that came out of that. Mm-hmm. But it's going to be a 90% slaughterhouse.
Well, and that's where you and I get conflicted personally when we think about the grading systems that are out there. On one hand, we want to get very excited about these new grading approaches. I said approach. That was subconscious. But we see these new grading brands that come out, and great, somebody that'll do a good job, and we'll get it back at a decent time, and it doesn't have to cost an arm and a leg for me to send off a base that I want to protect, right? However, there's a reason that there's not a million of these companies out there. It's not easy to stay on top of it. And the companies that have excelled for 30, 40, 50 years or longer, they're backlogged too, right?
Yeah.
They're dealing with it. So, it does lead a little bit of credibility to some of the old heads that are like, that's why I've only really worked with these few companies. They've been around a while. They're not going anywhere. There's something to it.
And that's why it's so important and I know this is boring stuff for a lot of people, and I get that. And if this is stuff that you just don't want to mess with, I get that. But if you're going to start using a newer grading company, if you're going to send your cards to a newer company to consign or whatever, do some just basic research to understand the fundamentals of the business. It's the reason that I have no qualms with sending stuff to CSG other than their ungodly turn times early on because they didn't plan properly. that the company that owns CSG is Collectors Universe. They're not Collectors Universe. That's PSA. But their overarching company, Certified Collectibles Group, they're huge. They're massive. They're not going anywhere. They're not going to screw this up. It might take them a little while. The label redesign that popped off in the last couple of weeks is going to be big for them.
Why did that take so long?
Think about any large company. How long is it easier for a small company or a large company
People
to make changes?
immediately were like, those are the worst slabs I have ever seen.
Well, they said the worst labels. The slab itself
that's
has
what I'm
always
talking
had
about.
amazing feedback.
That label was terrible.
Yeah, and I think that there's a little bit to be said for the business strategy.
GMA figured it out quicker.
Yeah.
Where's their bankroll?
Well, GMA grades a lot of cards. They grade a lot of cards. People don't. So when you think about grading companies, there are companies out there that people think of as kind of a joke. GMA is one of them. And the reason GMA is thought of as a joke is because under their previous ownership, there was some real sketchy stuff that happened.
You were paying for tins.
Yeah. And you could private label. Like I could start my own quote unquote grading company and design my own label and then just ship everything to them and I would tell them what I wanted it to be graded. And then Alan bought it and changed all that, but it still had that reputation. But I'm telling you right now, I bet GMA probably grades 30,000 cards a week, 30,000 cards a week. Like they grade a lot of cards. Are they grading giant big cards? No. I mean, I'm sure there's a few people that send them big stuff because they're fans and they're not going to try to sell them and they're not looking for resale value. But they grade a ton of base stuff. Although that's going to start changing, I think, to an extent, unless they drop their prices back again, because CSG just opened up bulk again at $12 a card. And at $12 a card, and since they're not offering subgrades anymore, I think they're going to get a lot of that business.
Yeah.
But just do some research on the fundamentals. If you see a brand new company come around and it's run by a 22-year-old that screams when he does breaks, maybe don't send them your $30,000 collection.
Can we riff on that for a second?
Sure.
I'm getting real tired of these breakers that are screaming over every hit.
Well, that goes back to what we were just talking about, though. You have to manufacture excitement when there's a $1,200 box, and you have to pretend that third-year Tyler Harrow card numbered to 25 is a monster just to somewhat justify the fact that it just cost somebody $200 to be in your break. Like, the card's worth $30.
So this is a topic we were going to do an episode on. We haven't done it yet, but this is part of the problem. Like, ethically, we had a conversation with somebody that's a breaker. It's been doing it for a living for quite some time. And he just shared with me, like, there are weeks where you are spending time with a few key clients trying to keep them from making a really bad decision because they're in a bad place, because they have hemorrhaged their savings.
Yeah.
They're chasing one hit. It's addictive.
Gambling
it's
addiction
habit
is real.
Forming.
Yep.
And they believe that next box, that next case break, that next whatever is going to get them out of their financial bind.
Yeah.
And so there's a darker side to this too, which it's no different from, a sports book or anything else.
Yep.
It's habit forming. It's gambling, definitely, on those breaks. But I think some of that is not helping the situation, where they're just overhyping these reactions to these cards. And
well, and that you.
I just don't want to get yelled. If I'm going to watch breaks for 3 hours, I don't want somebody yelling in my ear every 30 seconds.
Yeah, agreed. And if I'm watching, hey, breakers that are out there listening, if you're doing a case break of a product like Bowman Draft or something that's a lot of cards, let me let you in on a hint. None of us care about the base. Just flash through them so we can see there's not color and sit that shit aside and show us what we're here for. I don't want to watch a 4.5 hour case break.
Megan Trainor is not invited.
Yeah, for sure.
Get it?
Yeah, I did get it.
Because she's all about that base.
Yeah, I know. I got it. That was a good second level joke.
No short print. Should we make that song?
No, we shouldn't. Should we? Hey, let's do a poll. Should we make a music video spoof of Megan Trainor's song to the card world? We could have some fun with that.
I think nobody.
You have experience making terrible music videos.
Yeah,
so
man.
We could do that.
I was a children's pastor for a while. People trusted me. You're like, please say it. Please say it. Please say it.
Oh, that was another piece of hobby news, though. You're talking about brakes. I forgot completely about this. So there's a platform out there called Whatnot.
Yep.
Did you see the news from Whatnot this week? They changed their terms of service.
You have to give someone a card.
Yes, if somebody buys into a brake, they have to get something.
They're going to get a plain white envelope base card.
Well, which is fine, but that is in direct response to the fact that the reality of it is that braking is gambling.
Yep.
And you cannot run a gambling platform. That is not real life. Unless you're in a state that allows it and you have a license for it. So Whatnot was cutting themselves off from potentially, having serious issues. So that occurred. So if you get into brakes on Whatnot, you're going to get something for your trouble. Also, if you get into brakes on Whatnot, be careful. There's a lot of skis bags on Whatnot braking cards.
Could you define that? Could you use it in the sentence?
Yes. If you have a mullet and don't wear a shirt and look like you smoked all the meth before you did your brake, you're a skis bag.
What is the
backyard brakes? Sorry, I was.
What is the origin of the language? Skis bag.
English.
Okay.
Old English.
I was trying to go spelling bee with it.
So yeah, I can't go spelling bee because I was terrible at that. I'm not very smart.
Let's move on to our next segment. How does that sound?
How does what sound?
Moving on to our next segment.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I'm good with you.
Punch you right
in the juniper or the jejunum? You want me to puke or poop? What's the plan?
I don't want you to do either in my house.
Well, then don't punch me.
Is that? Never mind.
Next.
We haven't done this in a little while. Let's do a little pop or drop. So,
okay.
Pop or drop for those of you that haven't listened for a long time or maybe joining us for the first time. If you are, welcome. By the way, quick reminder, we're brought to you by the Press Play Podcast Network. So, whole family of other podcasts, a lot of great sports content, entertainment, all kinds of stuff. Check it out, Press Play Podcast Network. You'll see us on there.
Yeah.
Along with a lot of other good
shows. You want to explain pop or drop?
I do, but okay. I wanted to say that first.
Gotcha.
Pop or drop is a look at current players that people may be talking about. And the question is this a good investment right now to buy, or is it a good card or player to sell at this point? So you're looking at where they are right now and what we think, just our gut reaction to what is ahead for them. So it doesn't mean a player is good or bad. It just means based off of what we're seeing on pricing, trends, and what we're expecting of their performance and other factors. Is this somebody that if it's a pop, we would buy because we can make money later? Or is it a drop that we need to sell now because it's heading down?
Yep.
Did I explain it well?
You did.
Let's jump right into the first one. Big conversation, which, by the way, this is one of the ones we talked about last week when we were going over our prospects, which can I just for a moment.
I was going to say, do we want to pat Jason on the back
Can I
for a
pat
minute?
myself on the back? I'll let you do it because.
Yeah, I will pat you on the back. Jason's Bowman prospecting run there last week was really strong. His pitcher call, this is my deep take a shot at it.
Kwan.
Well, I was talking about Joe Ryan first.
Yeah, with the
Joe Ryan ends up being the Twins' #1 starter, opening day starter. They're excited about Joe Ryan. He was in the Tampa Bay trade. He started his career with the Rays. Stephen Kwan doesn't even have a card yet. He'll be in this first release of Bowman. It'll be his Bowman first, and then he'll have a top Series 2 rookie card in the same year, if they even give him a Bowman card. So we'll see. But he made the opening day roster and is starting right fielder for the Indians.
Guardians.
Oh, the Guardians, yeah. Who else did you drill on this?
Torkelson. That was kind of more of a no-brainer.
That was kind of a known.
And then Bryson Stott.
Yeah, I think Bryson Stott was one of those guys, too, that I think everybody kind of thought was probably going to make the roster in some form.
But 4 for 5 and Hunter Green's going to get action. I delivered for you.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie, didn't think Stephen Kwan was gonna make it, but my point held up. If somebody's making 82% contact on the ball, programs want them in the lineup.
Well, yeah,
you figure the rest out.
That's how John Kruk made it to the major leagues.
John Kruk,
yeah, you like that?
All right, first one was one of your picks. Literally the day after we go through this. Riley Green, one of my favorite prospects, breaks his foot.
Yep.
He's still Riley Green. Everybody's excited about him, but what do you think? Is this a pop or drop? Would you buy him now? Would you sell him? What are you going to do?
I was talking about it in pickups. I already did. And I'm going to continue to buy Riley Green if the price is right. I've seen his price drop by about 30% since that injury happened. I think people are a little concerned because he's a guy that speed is a big part of his game. He's a center fielder, and he broke the bone on the instep of his plant foot, but he's not going to forget how to hit. It's not a freak injury. It's an injury that guys recover from. It's not like it's a Liz Frank injury in football or anything like that.
I would say there's recovery from it, but it definitely is one where he will be dealing with pain for quite a while.
Yeah.
So it could have a factor for sure.
Chances are when he gets healthy, he's going to probably spend at least 2 to 3 weeks down in the minors before they bring him up. But the sad part about him is he and Torkelson both were going to make that roster, and both of them were going to start.
Yep.
They were scorching the spring and looked like major leaguers. So he is a guy that I'm buying, and if you're a baseball prospector and you have some risk tolerance, it's not without risk.
Yeah,
but I think he's
he's not cheap because everybody knows about him. But now is the time to take a look. If you're in Facebook groups, which I keep bringing this up. Right now, my favorite platform to purchase singles is on Facebook. Yeah. If I'm not seeing it at a local card shop that's willing to work with me, because card shops have a tendency to mark it up. And if they don't want to play ball, then, no dice.
Move on. Well, I mean, like I said, I got those 2 PSA 9s and a 2019 Bowman Chrome firsts, PSA 9s, and a 2021 yellow Mojo refractor to 75. I paid $90.
Yeah.
For all 3 cards.
Affordable. Definitely worth the risk. But here's one thing I wanted to say, too. We talked about this a little bit in prospecting stats. We talked about a few different other factors. YouTube is such a great tool. I mean, scouting has changed because of YouTube.
Yep.
Get on and watch somebody swing. If you've watched baseball more than just a couple times in your life, you'll see. I'm telling you, you can see it. You can hear it. You don't have to be obsessed with baseball to see that somebody has a pure swing.
Yeah.
It's the same way with golf. You could be a terrible golfer, but when you watch somebody that knows what they're doing, it's effortless, it's smooth, just mechanically it's there. Take a look at Riley Green. I'm with you on this. I still think he's a pop. I would not get rid of him. I'm actually more excited to invest now. I didn't want to pay a premium, and I think the best deals on him are going to be in a month when people realize it's probably realistically July before we see him starting with the Tigers. I think because they're going to send him down to make sure that he's okay, to take his time.
I'm still kicking myself for selling. I pulled a 2020 Bowman auto of his. He was in 2019 draft, so it's his second Bowman card. I pulled an auto of 99, and I sold it for like $150, and I'm still kicking myself for that one.
Why don't you go ahead and jump in? Let's talk about Matt Ryan switching it over to football. Obviously, Matt Ryan getting traded to the Colts. He took Baker's job. Baker thought he was heading over there, but now you got Matt Ryan up in Indy with Jonathan Taylor.
He's a drop to me. His stuff spiked about 25-30% after that trade. The Colts are now the favorite to win that division. He got the Matt Stafford bump like Matt Stafford did when he got traded to a contending team. Matt Ryan at this point, and there's not much time left in his career, he's not a Hall of Famer. I guess there's a chance he could go to the Colts and win 3 straight Super Bowls. I don't think that's going to happen. If it does, then, hey, he is a Hall of Famer. But if you've got his stuff right now, I'd move it right now. If you really love it, buy it back after the Colts lose 3 in a row in the middle of the season.
I am going to disagree with you because I still think he is cheap. Bowman Chrome 10s are still to be found around $150.
Yeah, but they were 90.
I understand.
A month ago.
I understand. I think the Colts, the way that they've built the team so far has been very methodical. I think that they have a lot to offer, and I think they're going to run with that division. I think he gets hype. I don't think he's going to blow anybody away, but I do think that card it's going to dip for a little bit, and then I think by late season when they're making a playoff run, which I think they will.
He's going to have to win a Super Bowl for it to go up.
I would disagree with that. The market is still too volatile for it to require a Super Bowl. I think that can change.
I would agree with you more if this wasn't a guy who's been in the league for 14 years.
You got something there.
Did Phillip Rivers cards go up when the Colts made the playoffs?
No.
And who's a better quarterback?
Well, I hate Phillip Rivers.
That's not what I'm
personally.
asking you.
I can't say yes.
Phillip Rivers is a Hall of Famer.
I refuse to say it.
You can refuse, but by all
You know how many
measures,
times I wish
Phillip Rivers
I
is a
was
Hall
the
of Famer.
fan in the stands arguing with him?
So that's my point. Like, I just don't see a world where Matt Ryan is all of a sudden a $500 Topps Chrome rookie card. If you had his stuff,
I don't know if it's a $500 card. I think it's not. Okay, so if there was something in between pop or drop, pop, stop, or drop, he's a stop for me. I'm not selling him if I have him. I'm not buying him for a few more months to see it level out from the trade. But I do think over the long haul, Matt Ryan stuff goes up. You and I disagree, and that's okay. Can I throw in a dark horse?
You do whatever you want.
Super dark horse here. 33 years old. Just released from the Reds. Shogo Akiyama.
No, stop it.
I think he's going to get picked up. The Reds still owe him $8 million. But I think he gets picked up, and I think
he does what? Has 200 at bats and bats 180? What are you talking about?
If you want to buy some Shogo Akiyama.
There it is. There it is.
You remember how deep I went?
Oh, yeah, there it is.
I have a deal for you. Okay, anyway, that was just a joke.
Now it makes more sense.
Let's go to one that's obviously, well, it's not obvious, but it's pretty clear as a dominant athlete. Giannis.
Oh, his stuff is still so undervalued, guys. It's way down from the peak of the market. This dude is an absolute. He's called the Greek Freak for a reason. Like, he is an absolute monster. He is on a trajectory. People don't realize that he's 27? He's not old. He's in the middle of his prime. He puts another 5 years up at 90% of what he's been for the last 4 years. He's a top 10 player of all time. He's an absolute destructive force, and he's starting now. Listen, I don't want anybody to come back and say that I said something I didn't. He's never going to be Steph Curry, okay? But he is no longer a liability as an outside shooter. He is a slightly above average outside shooter, which when you combine that with his ability to get to the rim around or through anybody,
Yeah.
That's disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Some
just
would call
disgusting.
it a freak.
Yeah.
So he's
From
a drop.
Greece. No, I'd be buying his stuff.
He's okay. So his SP stuff,
But not for a quick flip.
and graded stuff is going to have a premium on it.
Yep.
It's still over the long haul, probably going to go up. I would
Yep.
agree with that. I'm buying raw.
If you
right
can.
now.
You're not
If
going to
you-
be able to buy many rookies raw, at least not in great shape.
Mm-hmm.
But
Get some SP stuff.
Yep.
Doesn't have to be all rookie stuff.
Nope.
He has that type of draw. He has that type of attention. He has that type of fan base where you can get some of his variation stuff. And he's going to be, now, don't overreact to this, similar to the way that whatever year Tom Brady's playing, his variations, SPs, and all that are going to sell. He has that type of draw as an athlete. Not saying he's a GOAT, not saying any of that stuff. I'm just saying that his stuff, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth year, it doesn't really matter. You can find some deals out there, but if you're buying raw, start with looking at rookies and make sure it's short print or parallel. I wouldn't just buy base.
Well,
I'm not big on that.
I would disagree with you there only for this reason. Keep in mind that the print runs on base in 2012, 2013 were 25% of what they are
Well, sure.
now.
I'm talking more recently.
Oh yeah, now
in the
newer
last
stuff, yeah. I wouldn't be
years.
buying base right now of newer stuff.
Yeah.
But if you're looking for rookies, there's nothing wrong with trying to find base. Now, one of the hard things about his rookies, unless you're buying Prism and Hoops, a lot of his rookies that year, a lot of the card designs were dark color borders.
What was the flagship product for him? He's not even in.
Pinnacle. He has a Prism rookie. He has Pinnacle. He has Hoops.
He's not in an NBA uniform in it.
That's Pinnacle.
Okay.
Yeah.
But like one example of a way to. Okay,
He's got I think does he have a Fleer card? I know he's got.
we'll have to look it up. Anyway, so for a guy like him, some listeners have reached out saying, "Hey, I'm just now getting back into this." You say it's a good buy. I'm still not dropping $300 or $800 on a card because I'm just getting started with this. So a product that is a good place to look for parallels, SPs for basketball. I think you'd agree with this. Like a newer one. Mosaic's not bad because there's a lot of different color variations. You can kind of build out a rainbow. Rainbow just means you get all the different colors of a variation. Obviously, if you get to the 101s, the golds, that's different. But you have a good chance to buy some of those. Some of those are going to go for $5, $10, $25, $50, $100. Nothing crazy. But those are ways to get into a player, invest in a player, and you have something that's a little bit limited as a product so that as his stock rises, it's going to move a little quicker. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So that's Giannis. Let's talk about a rookie. Ricky? Are we talking about a
Who are
rookie?
you talking about? You've got the list.
Oh, yeah.
I
Up
already
next,
forgot it.
Desmond Bain.
Desmond Bain's not a rookie.
No, he's not.
Second-year player.
Mm-hmm. With a filthy team right now.
Yeah, and he's a big part of that filthy team. So everybody on that team gets overshadowed by Ja. Rightly so. Ja Morant.
Actually, wrongly so.
No, Ja Morant's
yeah,
you're talking about just like, yeah, they're 20-2 without him. But like when Ja Morant's on the court, you can't take your eyes off of him.
Right.
He's just
gorgeous. Is that what you mean?
unbelievably entertaining to watch. He doesn't care who you are. He will try to dunk on your face. He's so fun to watch. But Desmond Bain is his backcourt mate, and he can shoot the lights out. He can get to the rack. He can dish the ball. Jaren Jackson's another guy on that team. He's not on our list, but he's been hurt for 2 years. He's finally healthy again. Also, probably not a terrible guy to grab some rookie stuff from. Again, it's not a guy that's going to turn into a $600 or $700 card, but he's a guy you could make a 50 to 80% return on over a year and a half. That's not so bad.
And if you're investing in players, so obviously a lower risk opportunity there is to pick up one slab, right?
Yep.
For the price of that PSA 10, what if you had 10 raw cards that are going to take a 30% increase? Do a little bit of math on it. You might be surprised. Sure. You can come out further ahead buying cheaper cards, but getting a lot of them. Baseball, that's how I invest. If there's a rookie I'm excited about, I'm buying a ton of them. And I'll buy a lot of them raw. Let's say if I buy 10 of them raw from somebody else, one of them or two of them might be gradable, and I'm okay with that.
Yep.
Because I got that card for $2, and when you're sitting on 50 cards that have gone up by $8 a piece, that's fun.
Yeah.
And that's a realistic thing that can happen with like Topps paper product. You can go to a $10 rookie card pretty easily.
And people don't get excited about $2 to $10 because they think, oh, $8, that's not that big of a deal. No, what it is a 500% return. Mm-hmm. And like you just said, when you have 50 of those, well, now that's a $400 profit.
And it costs you $50 to get
right.
in. So, and then down the road, when you get more comfortable and you're more comfortable with taking a little bit of risk, you can get that slab. You can get those bigger cards. So I hope that, like Gary and I, our intention is never to push you out of the market on recommendation or suggestion with, a price point. There's so many ways you can go about this.
Yeah.
You don't have to put yourself in a bad place financially to collect and invest.
You shouldn't. If you are buying sports cards with bill money, stop. Stop it right now.
Unless you love Shogo Akiyama. And then give me a call. All right, let's move on to the next one. Eloy Jimenez.
Yeah, Eloy you're getting a lot of pops from me right now. Eloy hurt most of the year last year. When he came back late in the year, he raked. He is an amazing pure hitter. He might be, even with Lubob on that same team, he might be the best pure hitter. He's not the athlete Luis Robert is, but he is probably the best hitter on that team.
I mean, what do you think the White Sox have? About, 3 million home runs this year?
There's going to be a lot of them. That lineup is stacked. I don't know how you get around that lineup as a pitcher. You just
keep them low.
Well, you keep them low, and then you got it. But you can't keep them low with Eloy because he can golf that stuff. He's long, man.
And Lubob is a pure contact hitter. Like he's gonna, the barrel of the bat is touching the ball if he's taking a swing.
And so that's one of the things to keep in mind when you're investing in a guy like Luis Robert. he is a guy who home runs are going to come in bunches, and then he'll have a drought. But he's hitting a ton of doubles during that drought.
Yep.
Because, like you said, he is going to put barrel on
He drives the ball.
And if he's hitting it just a little bit under, you're going to get home runs. And if he's drilling it, you're going to get doubles and triples. He is a guy who, from a hobby standpoint, is going to be appreciated more 10 years from now than he is right now. There was a lot of hype, and then he came up. He played really, really well, but his stuff dropped off because what does the hobby look for?
Right.
Home runs. Like, that's what they're looking for. And he's going to hit home runs over the course of a year. He's going to hit 30 home runs, 28, 30 home runs, which is respectable. But he's also going to bat .310. He's going to steal 25 or 30 bases. He's going to make every single week, he's going to have at least one web gem play in the outfield. He's a guy that is going to be appreciated more 10 years from now than he is now.
I agree, and he's a guy that's going to have a long career, and he's a guy that teams that are winning that need that X factor, Eloy is the type of guy that gets brought in on a contract.
Oh, yeah, Eloy Jimenez, yeah.
But
he's a pop for me. I've bought some of his stuff recently. I've got a couple of rookie autos of his. Picked up a second-year Topps Generation Next of 10 of his recently. Like, he's a guy that...
Point of reference on it, too. Sorry, I cut you off there.
No, you're good.
I'm not sorry, but I did cut you off. I'm acknowledging that I did.
Appreciate that.
Yesterday, April 6th, Topps Chrome PSA 10 rookie. Not
Just
the
his
shortest
base,
print card, base, but it's chrome. It's not paper.
Yep.
$23.50 is what it went for on an auction.
Yeah.
So, like...
And a year ago at the beginning of the year, that was a $60 card.
Yep.
It's going to be a $60 card again.
I would agree with you on that. That's a pop. I think the White Sox are going to be exciting to follow this year. And that team, they're just going to be hitting a ton of home runs.
There's nobody in that division that can keep up with them. I mean,
Yeah,
the
they're
Indians are
putting a
going to
ton of
try.
runs
The
up.
Indians have some great pitching, but the White Sox are silly.
I'm going to flip orders on the next one
'Kay,
because
do
I
what you
want to
gotta
talk about the DH role and how that's going to change things up a good bit with baseball. So now, if you haven't heard, DH is happening in the NL. It's happening across the league. And so because of that, it's kind of an expectation everywhere. It is going to change things up a little bit. We're going to see more home runs. We're going to see more higher scoring games overall. But the first one I'll talk about is Yordan Alvarez.
I'm a huge Yordan Alvarez guy, and like Jason just said, I think that one of the things that has held him back from a hobby standpoint is what's always held DHs back. He's terrible in the field. He is a negative WAR player as a fielder. But that doesn't matter because he's a DH, and he hits for average, he hits for power, and he's fun to watch. He's got a little bit of swagger. He's young, and if you are in a state where sports gambling is legal, he's like plus 2,200 to win the MVP this year. That's a great value.
Walk him through what that means.
So that means for every dollar you bet, you're going to get $22 in return. Okay, you're not going to get $2,200. You're going to get $22 in return.
Per
So,
dollar, yeah.
Yeah, so you bet $100, it's going to pay out $2,200 plus your original $100. So you get a $2,300 payout.
Make sure that it's legal in this.
Yeah, it has to be a state that you're legal in. And if it's not a state that you're legal in and you border a state that it is, download an app, drive to that state, place your bet.
Maybe it's in Wheeling, West Virginia.
Yeah,
I
maybe
don't
it
know.
is on an island.
All right, let's talk about somebody that was gone for a little while, and then he's back, and everybody got super excited about him last year, Shohei Ohtani. So now we have this weird thing happening with the DH thing. He's going to be hitting.
Yeah.
Probably all year.
Yeah. And the games where he pitches, they won't use a DH. He'll just hit.
Is he a pop or drop for you?
He's a drop.
He's expensive still, isn't he?
His stuff's just so high.
Yeah.
He would have to have another year like he had last year in order for his stuff to remain at the point that it is or go up. And here's the kicker and what people forget about with Shohei Ohtani. Personally, and I know you don't agree with this, I think that him getting the MVP last year was a travesty. That's my opinion. I don't think he deserved the MVP. Especially you consider he hit 49 home runs. He hit 33 of them before the All-Star break.
I'm a little less rigid on that than I was.
His batting
when we
average was
debated last
50
time.
points lower after the All-Star break.
Yep.
he wore down.
It happened during the home run derby. We all saw it.
Yeah. And it's going to happen again this year if they use him the same way.
For someone to be, sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're not interrupting.
For
You're good.
someone to be a pitcher and to constantly move up, don't say Babe Ruth right now because
Well, he didn't. He only did that for the first 4 years of his
it's
career.
a different conversation.
Oh, agreed.
But it is going to be really hard for that to be a continual climb. That doesn't mean he's a failure. That doesn't mean that he's not producing. That doesn't mean we still aren't witnessing one of the most versatile baseball players of a generation. Because we are. It's special. But when it comes to the hobby and what it's costing, we're still paying year to 2 year ago rates for Shohei.
You're paying for Babe Ruth, and what you're going to end up with, and the Angels are going to be forced to make this decision, he might have another couple of years of this two-way stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're going to have to decide what he is.
Yeah. Now, he's really fast.
He is.
Very fast.
I think he's a better hitter than he is a pitcher.
But when it comes to fielding, where do you think they would position him? You think he goes to first base?
I think he plays DH.
But if he had to field. If you had to
left field.
Yeah?
Yeah, they'll stick him in
He
left.
doesn't have an arm.
Yeah, they would stick him in left. But he's a drop for me, not because I don't think he's an amazing baseball player, but because, again, by the definition of pop or drop, what's he going to do for his stuff to go
Well,
up?
here's what I would say, and this doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I would say unless it is a very high-value card of his.
Oh, yeah, that's a little different. But then you're sending it to Golden.
Yeah,
hoping he gets six figures.
But I'm saying I would hold a higher SP right now, something super short print, auto, something that is like one of his premier cards. I don't know how many listeners are sitting on that, but if you have some of that stuff, I would maybe hold that. But the mid-tier, lower-tier stuff of his, get your money. You can buy it back if it drops.
Yep. Or sell it if you've got it slabbed and then go buy the raw version.
Yep.
And rinse and repeat.
Yep. Yeah.
So is that our list for Pop or
Yeah,
Drop?
that's our list. Yeah. 57 minutes into this episode.
See, and we didn't even think we had that much content this week. You were looking at our sheet before we started. You were like, man, I just feel like we don't have much.
I just give it 100%. I'm like Rudy.
We did spend 10 minutes on jejunum.
I'll punch you right in your juniper.
Nobody knows what that is.
Love you guys. Bye.
Peace.